Now we're going to move on to correcting tone and color section. So I'm going to go over here. Properties is currently on. I'm going to click on adjustments and I'm going to click on single adjustments. And we have lots of different options in here. And if you don't like the way this is viewing it, we can go over here and we can click this button. We can look at them like little icons, or we can look at them in little icons in a column. This is the way they show them in the book. So I'm going to click on it so it doesn't confuse you. And we're going to click on curves. Over here, curves, what it will allow you to do, and I don't do this yet, I'm going to just kind of show you what happens here. If I click and I drag this down here at the bottom, this bottom point, it's going to make everything black, okay? If I click on this one up at the top and I click to the left, it's going to make it so that it's white. So basically we're adjusting our black and white areas of our image here. They have a really cool tool in here though that will allow you to pick a white, okay? So what we're looking for is something very, very white in here that we can pinpoint as our white area, okay? So I am going to go over here, and if I hover over these tools here, it says sample an image to set the black point. So if I wanted to set something, if I had a black point in this particular image that I wanted to set, I could use that. If I had something that was a gray point, I could select this one, but we're going to deal with white. So we're going to opt for this bottom one. Okay, so we're going to click on this and we're going to hover over here and I'm going to zoom in on this picture. So to do this, I'm going to hold my Z key down so that I don't have to go back and forth between tools. And then I'm going to click and drag. Z, I just held the Z key down, just hold it down and then you can click and drag, okay, to the right. That will zoom in. And what we want is we want a section of this girl's dress, okay? So we're going to select, maybe the whitest part that we can kind of find here. We're going to click about right here. And what it's going to do is it's going to set that as the white point and kind of increase anything else to that area, okay, or to that value. And you can see over here that it added several spectrums over here, okay? If we look over in our layers panel, we can see that we have a curves 1 and we have a photo filter in here. Next thing we want to do is we're down here at number 4 under the correcting tone and color. And we are going to do an adjustments panel. So we're going to go over here to adjustments and we're going to do levels. Levels and curves are pretty much the same thing. It's just going to depend on your preference. Okay, so this time we're going to adjust the black tone. A lot of times when you adjust the white tone, you do want to adjust the black tone. So we're going to do that with levels. The book wants us to change our levels manually here, and they want us to change this to 1.5, which I could drag this to, I'm sorry, not 1.5, 15. I could drag this to 15, or I could just simply type 15 here. And then the middle one, they do want us to change that to 0.9, not 1.9, 0.9. And then we're going to keep 255, which is how many colors are in the hexadecimal. That we're going to go ahead and keep that where it's at. Okay. And next thing is we're going to go ahead and save this. So I'm going to go up here to File, Save, and I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to say OK. Now, notice that that still saved it as a TIFF. Okay. So I have decided that I'm going to go ahead and hit Save As because I do want this as a PSD. And I'm going to hit the format, and I'm going to change this to Photoshop. Anytime you change it to Photoshop, it's going to change it as a PSD. Now, again, before you turn this in, it does need to be a PDF, but we're going to just go ahead and work with it as a PSD. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. TIFFs will also retain your layers, just so you know. And now that I have this done, I'm going to zoom out so I can see it. It does look better with all of the adjustments than it did before. You have your eyeball over here. If we haven't talked about your eyeball over here in your layers panel, I'm going to talk about it right now. This you can collapse, open, or close, and you can just hide things. I like to hide and show things a lot of times to see, okay, what did it look like a minute ago, and now what does it look like? Okay. Now we are going to flatten this image. We're going to leave this on, and we're going to go up here to layer, and we're going to go down here to flatten image. Why are we going to do this? We want to reduce the size of it, number one, and we don't need those layers anymore. We're happy, content with it. I will tell you, a lot of times will just keep a PSD not flattened, especially when it's not finished. But I'm following the book, and they do want us to flatten it. We're going to use the spot healing brush in order to fix this. So the spot healing brush you will find over here at the left-hand side, and it will look like a Band-Aid, and it's up at the top. It says spot healing brush. Okay, and you can reach that by hitting the J on the keyboard, and that's what I like to do, is just hit the J because I like to work smart, not hard. Okay, now when I do that, you can notice that the option bar, as always, changes. So we are going to change this. Okay, right here it says that they want us to specify a brush with a size of 25 pixels and 100% hardness. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to hit the down arrow, and we are going to do a size of 25 pixels. So 25, and we want the hardness to be 100%. Okay, and everything else, we want to make sure content aware is selected. We have the options between content aware, create texture, and proximity match. We do want it to be content aware. We have AI, we have this that we can utilize a little bit in this. So what we're going to do now with this is we're going to kind of zoom in so we can see our flaws. And then what we're going to do, we have this big crease here, which we're going to use a different tool, but we're going to scroll over here, and we see this little hair. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of go over top of it, and you'll notice that it will remove that. It's analyzing pixels around the area, and it will kind of know what's going on, and it will remove any traces. And I could go around here and delete all of these little bits and pieces. Okay, so again, take a minute, get rid of any of the flaws that you see. We're not going to get rid of the big flaw yet. We're going to use a different tool for that. Okay, for this big issue right here, we're going to go over here, and we're going to hold the left mouse button down, and we're going to try using the remove tool. On the remove tool, we are going to change the size to 25, and we are going to make sure that we have remove after each stroke. If this is not on, it can get kind of annoying. Okay, so make sure that that is check marked. Sometimes, just because I can flatten it later, sometimes I like to create a new layer. It just makes it, if I make a mistake, I can go back and edit that. But in this case, we are not going to do that. So now I'm just going to click, and I'm going to drag down on top, and now if I let go, it should remove the area. Notice it works just a little bit differently. So the other thing that we mentioned that we did not really like is that this dude is right here. He's in our way. So we want to remove him. So we're going to try using the remove tool. Again, we're going to go in here, click remove tool. I'm going to increase this. I'm going to use, there are some brushes on here. We can use the left and right bracket to increase and decrease our size of our brush. So I'm going to increase my size to about 100. And to increase it, I'm going to use the right bracket. To decrease it, you can use the left bracket. And notice my size up here, I am on 100, or I could just simply type 100. So now we're going to hover over this boy and we're going to try to just select him, making sure that we get him, the shadow, anything that is surrounding him that we don't want. Make sure. Again, I'm at 100 points here. Make sure you get the inside. Let go. Since we're on remove after each stroke, I didn't let go. But if you want to uncheck mark that, and then you can do it after you're done selecting by hitting the check mark, that will work also. And we take a look here, and man, it did a really good job back here making and inferring what should be actually behind him. You know, they do this, some of this is done with AI, and I know this because if I go up here, I can say auto may use generative AI. If something that you're working on does not allow AI to be utilized, make sure that you turn that off. Now the book wants us to use generative AI in order to reproduce this. So we are going to undo what we just did. So we're going to go up here, edit, undo, remove tool, or notice we can hit Command Z. Command Z is, or Control Z, if you're on a Windows, that is a universal for undo. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to hold the left mouse button down under the fourth one, and we're going to use Object Selection tool. We're going to draw a selection around our little dude here, and we're going to let it go, and it's going to put a nice selection because I missed this shadow a minute ago. And they want us to go down to our contextual bar, and they want us to use generative fill. So I'm going to click on generative fill, and I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to just say generate. Anytime you use generate, it's going to take a few minutes, okay, and it's analyzing things around here, and it's going to give you three options. If we look over here in the variations, okay, or we can go here in our contextual bar and we can just hit the arrow to the right, okay, and we can see which one of those we like best. So I don't like that first one. Second one's not bad. And everybody's might be slightly different. It just depends on how it took, how it read it, how your selection was actually made. Okay, so now that we have the generative fill picked, the next thing that it wants us to do is it wants us to kind of go down here and look at these other remove tools. Okay, we have spot healing brush tool, the remove tool. We also have the healing brush tool. That comes in handy, especially like with blemishes and stuff. We have a patch tool and a content aware move tool. Those tools will come up at another time, but you could play around with these, okay? If you read this section inside of the book, it's going to tell you, because a lot of times you have to hold the Alt key down in order to use some of these tools, so kind of keep that in mind if you want to mess around with some of these tools. We also down here have the clone stamp tool. We'll be using that at a later date as well. So next thing we want to do is sharpen this image, because if we look at this image, if we zoom in, we can see that it's just kind of blurry. We need to sharpen this up a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to layer, first thing we need to do, and we're going to go ahead and flatten this image, okay? And we're going to go ahead and merge, make sure they're all merged. And then we're going to go up here to filter, and we're going to go down to sharpen, and then we're going to go to smart sharpen. Something we haven't talked about is up here in the upper right hand corner is our history. So if we want to see how this looked before and after, we could go up here and click on flatten image. We can see that that was a little blurry. And then when we did sharpen image, it did sharpen it up a little bit, okay? And especially when we zoom out, if you kind of click on the flatten image and then go back to smart sharpen, you can see that the image is sharper. Done. Don't forget that you do need to save this as a PDF in order to submit it. So we are going to go up here to File, and we are going to hit Save As. We're going to go in here and make sure it is named correctly, O2 working, and then your last name, first initial, or first name. We will go in here and make sure we change this Photoshop to Photoshop PDF. Make sure it is in lesson 2 so you can stay organized. We're going to go ahead and hit Save. It's going to pop up with this. The settings you chose can be override. We're going to say don't show again. We're going to say okay. Inside here, please do not forget to make sure preserve Photoshop editing capabilities. This is what will preserve your layers. Yes, in this one we do not have layers, but we're just going to get used to always doing that because I will always need your layers. So we're going to hit save PDF. We're going to say yes, and that will be the document that you will submit